Hey guys, Omaha here. Today I'm going to be going over all of the illusion spells in Baldur's Gate 3 and showing you what their effects are as well as what they look like. So first off, for our cantrip, we have Minor Illusion. Create an illusion that compels nearby creatures to investigate. You can remain hidden while casting this spell. This spell can be cast while you are silenced. Silence is where you can't speak or cast spells with a verbal component and is immune to thunder damage. It's going to last 10 turns and it has a range of 60 feet. So, you're going to cast this spell. And it's going to summon a little cat hallucination. All these enemies are going to go investigate if they're within audible range. And it's going to group them up together, so it's good for if you have like a wizard up here and you want to use an AoE spell and take all these guys out, or if you have a rogue in a corner waiting to do a sneak attack, or if you just want to lure an enemy away so you can sneak past. And because it's a cantrip, you can use it as many times as you want out of combat. Then in combat, cast it, and they'll do an investigation roll. And if they fail, they're going to move towards it every turn and try to investigate, and at the end of each of their turns, they're going to do another investigation roll. If they ever succeed the investigation roll, it's going to just disappear. Investigation failed again. He's going to go check it out. Investigation failed still. But they're just going to keep moving towards it. It's a good distraction. He has an investigation successful, so now it has disappeared. Alright, so moving on to our level 1 spells, we have Disguise Self. Magically change all aspects of your appearance. This is also a ritual spell, so it doesn't cost a spell slot when you use it outside of combat. So this one's pretty cool. When you click on it, you're going to be able to choose any race or body type, and this is going to allow you to do a lot of cool things. Like you can change into a halfling, and then you can sneak into smaller areas, or you could go on a crime spree as your disguise, steal a bunch of stuff, or, you know, kill someone or do whatever. And then when you're outside of someone's visual range, someone can't see you anymore, and you change back to your normal self, they're not going to have any idea it was you. And then also certain areas of the game, like I think the goblin camp, you can change into a drow and you'll have an easier time getting into the goblin camp. So there's cool things like that. There are certain areas of the game too where disguises won't work, so some enemies can see through disguises. Another thing that's kind of useful for is if you want to use the Speak with the Dead spell, they won't talk to the person that killed them, but if you use Disguise Self, then they'll talk to you. And then next up for level 1, we have Color Spray. Blind creatures up to a combined 33 hit points. That's got an area of effect of 17 feet. The Color Spray has disadvantage on attack rolls. Range of attacks and spells reduced to 10 feet. Attack rolls against blinded creatures have advantage. The disadvantage is going to roll 2 dice and use the lower value. It's negated by advantage. And attack rolls, that's going to determine whether the attack succeeds. So your attack roll has to match or exceed the target's armor class. And then advantage is going to roll 2 dice and use the higher value. So when you click to use the spell, level 1 is going to be 33 hit points, level 2, 44, level 3, 55, level 4, 66, level 5, 77, and level 6 is 88. So these two guys together have 40 hit points. If I want to use level 1, it's only 33. I can choose one person to use a spell on. But I'm going to try to blind both of them. This is 44 hit points at level 2. Now that I've hit them, I can examine, see that they have the Color Spray condition for 1 turn. And then another thing with this spell is when you're casting it, hovering over enemies, down here at the bottom, this little circle with the 33, that's going to tell you how many hit points left with that spell you have. If I hover over this guy, he's got 18, it's going to subtract the 18. But I'm going to have 15 hit points left, so it kind of just helps you decide what other enemies you can hit with it at that time. So level 2, I want to hit both of them. I'm going to have 8 hit points left after hitting both of them. Alright, moving on to our level 2 spells, we have Phantasmal Force. This does 1 to 6 psychic damage. Deal damage to a creature each turn. The type of damage changes to the last type the creature suffered. That's for 10 turns. It's going to have a range of 60 feet. It's an intelligence save, so the target needs to roll against the caster's spell difficulty class. If the roll is equal to or higher than the difficulty class, the target resists the spell. And then this is also a concentration spell. Caster needs to focus on maintaining the spell. They can only cast 1 concentration spell at a time, and their concentration might be broken when they take damage. Alright, so I'm going to cast Phantasmal Force, plus Agile Guardian. Takes 3 damage on his turn. Now it's my turn again. I'm going to run up and hit him with my staff, which does bludgeoning damage. It's 6 bludgeoning damage. So now it says Phantasmal Force Bludgeoning. 1 to 6 bludgeoning damage per turn. Here in his turn, he takes 6 bludgeoning damage. Alright, next up for level 2, we have Invisibility. Touch a creature to turn it invisible. Attacks against it have disadvantage. it attacks with advantage. Invisibility breaks when you fail stealth checks on attacking, casting spells, or interacting with items. So this is going to last 10 turns. The invisibility is going to end early if the invisible entity attacks, casts another spell, takes an action, or takes damage. So this is for melee range, and it's a concentration spell, so when you take damage, you have a chance of breaking it. So then invisibility upcasting is going to affect additional targets per level. So at level 2, you can use 1 target. Level 3, you can have 2 targets, which shows in the circle on the right. I'm going to target Shadowheart and me. And then levels 4 does 3 targets, 5 is 4, and 6 is 5. So then if I cast a spell, it's going to break. Or if I take damage or fail a stealth check. Alright, next up we have Blur. Attackers have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Doesn't affect creatures that don't rely on sight or that can see through illusions. And that's going to last 10 turns, and it's a concentration spell. And then upcasting the spell at a higher level doesn't grant any additional benefits. So you're always going to want to cast it at level 2 unless you want to use another spell slot for some reason. Then we have Mirror Image. Create 3 illusory duplicates of yourself that distract attackers. Each duplicate increases your armor class by 3. So your armor class, the higher that is, the harder you are to hit. Whenever you successfully evade an attack, one of the duplicates disappears. This is going to last 10 turns. And then upcasting the spell at a higher level doesn't grant any additional benefits. So here I'm going to cast Mirror Image. There's my 3 duplicates. So now my armor class went from 11 up to 20. When I evade an attack, it's going to disappear. So now I have 2 left. Right now my armor class is 17. 3 from each one. Another attack hits, but I still keep the images. Missed. Now I have 1 left. Armor class is 14. And then when they miss again, this one's going to disappear and I'll be back down to 11. And finally for level 2, we have Silence. Create a soundproof sphere. All within are silenced and immune to thunder damage. So silenced, they can't speak or cast spells with a verbal component, and they're immune to thunder damage. This is going to last 100 turns, and the range of this is 60 feet, and it's a concentration spell. So using the spell might turn targets hostile as well. So upcasting this spell isn't going to grant any additional benefits. So you can use this on enemies, and if you're inside the radius, you're silenced. So it's good against spellcasters. Another cool thing about this is you can use it on an alarm, and any enemies outside of this aren't going to be able to hear the alarm go off. Or if you want to just cast it on an enemy and, I don't know, brutally murder them, anybody outside of that isn't going to be able to hear it. Alright, moving on to level 3, we have Fear. Project an image so frightening, it makes targets drop everything and become fearful. They will be easier to hit and cannot move. If the target ends their turn when they can't see you, they make another saving throw to shake off the fear. So Fearful is a condition. Affected entity has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. It must run from the source of its fear and can't take any additional actions. This is a wisdom saving move, area of effect of 30 feet, and it's a concentration spell. It's going to cause Fearful for 2 turns, and it's going to cause Disarmed for 1 turn. Affected entity has dropped its weapon on the ground. So if you use this spell and an enemy runs behind like a barrier or something where they can't see you, they're going to have another saving throw and have a chance to get out of that spell. And then casting the spell at a higher level doesn't grant any additional benefits. Here's what Fear looks like. So they all got hit by Fear, they all dropped their weapon, and they've got Fearful for 2 turns. And my turn. His turn, he left his weapon behind. He also left his weapon behind, running away. And you know what? I can just go up and grab their weapons. They have nothing to come back to. And then our other level 3 spell is Hypnotic Pattern. Hypnotize creatures that can see the pattern. They cannot attack you. They cannot move or act. The spell can still be cast while you are silenced. So they're going to be hypnotized for 2 turns. They can't move or take actions, bonus actions, or reactions. Removed by taking damage or when helped. The range is going to be 60 feet. It's a wisdom save, and it's also a concentration spell. Casting the spell at a higher level doesn't grant any additional benefits. I'm going to use it here. And they're hypnotized. So he's not going to be able to do anything on his turn, unless this guy comes over and helps him. Alright, starting with level 4, we've got Greater Invisibility. Turn a creature invisible. Attacks against it have disadvantage. It attacks with advantage. Invisibility breaks when you fail increasingly harder stealth checks on attacking, casting spells, or interacting with items. That's for 10 turns. The range is melee, and it's a concentration spell. So in this case, Invisible Entity has advantage on attack rolls. Attack rolls against it have disadvantage. When interacting with items, casting spells, or attacking, the entity needs to succeed a stealth check to maintain an invisibility. The check becomes harder with each successful attempt. So you're going to basically be able to keep slinging spells around or backstabbing people. And if you keep passing the stealth checks, you're going to be able to keep using the invisibility. Alright, so I'm going to cast Greater Invisibility inside combat, and upcasting the spell doesn't grant any additional benefits, unlike the regular invisibility spell. And then I can go over here, and they're actually going to go investigate where I was last time. And since they don't see where I'm at, it's going to end the combat. He has a detect presence ability, but he wasn't able to see me. And I can swing on this guy. And I missed, but the stealth was successful, so I stay invisible. And then I can try to cast Ray of Frost on this guy. And my stealth check failed, so I came out of invisibility. So because I surprised them when I popped out of invisibility, they have the effect surprised. So their first turn, they can't take any actions, so you're going to be able to go again. Alright, then our other level 4 spell is Phantasmal Killer. Does 4 to 40 psychic damage onto creature with illusions of its greatest fears. It takes 4 to 40 psychic damage per turn, can no longer move, and will be easier to hit. That's going to last 10 turns. So it's going to take 4 to 40 psychic damage per turn, it can't move, has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. It's got a range of 60 feet, it's a wisdom save, and it's a concentration spell. Alright, so Phantasmal Killer. When you upcast, it's going to deal an additional 1 to 10 psychic damage per level. So at level 5, it's going to do 5 to 50 damage. In level 6, it's going to be 6 to 60 damage per turn. Cast that. And now for 10 turns, he's not going to be able to move. He's going to have disadvantage on his ability checks and attack rolls, and he's going to take damage per turn. Let's end our turn. Keep in mind this is concentration, so if they do hit me, it has a chance of disappearing. And there he took 19 damage. And then for our last spell, gonna be a level 5 spell. I haven't seen any level 6 spells so far, unless there's an item that grants one, but I haven't seen anything like that yet. Disguise up to 4 members of your adventuring party, and that's a range of 60 feet. So that's gonna work the exact same way as Disguise Self that I showed earlier in the video, except it's gonna be for your entire party. So you're gonna select all the targets, and upcasting doesn't grant any additional benefits. You're going to disguise, and then down here you can adjust seeming, so you can select a different appearance, and then you can dispel your disguise. And if you click on each character, you're going to be able to adjust their character appearance as well. And you can also dispel this disguise for each individual person. So that's going to allow you to go on a massive crime spree with all your buddies, or if you want to sneak your whole party through a small entryway, turn them all into dwarves, gnomes, and halflings. Alrighty guys, and that's going to wrap it up for all the illusion spells in Baldur's Gate 3 so far. If you like this video, hit that like button down below, helps me out, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I've also done subclass guides on a few of the subclasses so far, showing everything you unlock for all the levels. And I plan on doing videos like this for all the schools of magic. Evocation might take me a little longer just because there's so many spells, but I might end up doing that in 2 parts or something. We'll see what happens. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.